All right, we are live.
Hello.
So, welcome everyone to our workshop. It's about how to organize and track and convert leads effectively with our new feature, Lifecycle. So today here we have Wilson, who's the brainchild who really thought out the feature of Lifecycle and how our customers can really use it to effectively convert their leads. So anything you have any questions about Lifecycle, he's the person to ask. So any questions, please write out in the chat. And when at the end, we'll have a Q&A. And how it'll appear like is, for example, when you have a question, it will be shown up here at the end. So if anyone has questions, please put it up down there. Okay, I think we can start. All right, Wilson.
All right. Hi everyone. So my name is Wilson, and I'm the senior product manager here at Respond.io. In terms of what I focus on some of the core features within Respond.io, like Tax Manager, the inbox module, our AI tools, and of course, right now, what we're going to talk about here is the lifecycle feature. So my job is all about listening to your feedback and building solutions that address your biggest pain points. So please do not hesitate to share any thoughts or ask any questions you might have throughout this workshop, which we will address at the end of this during the Q&A session, right? So before we dive in, let's have a little poll. Give me a second to bring that up. Okay, thanks, Tyler. Right, so before we dive in, I'm curious, right? Does your business right now or your company right now use any form of sales pipeline management, even if it's not through any kind of dedicated tools? For example, do you already categorize customers in some way, like when they're making payment, they are new leads, hot leads, so on and so forth, right? The reason why we ask this is because we do see customers or we do see organizations who implement any kind of lifecycle management to have 80% higher conversion rate than those who don't, right? So that's why we introduced this feature within Respond.io to help you with managing leads a lot better, more effectively into driving the conversion rate higher and, of course, make more money. Right, so I do see 46% yes. Some of you are planning to as well. And yeah, hopefully with this workshop, it will get you started easily with lifecycle management, especially within our platform as well. Okay, shall we stop the poll or continue from here?
Yeah, I think we can stop the poll already.
Cool, quite a lot of you guys have some sort of lifecycle management already. And yeah, hopefully those who are planning to, especially after this workshop, I would like to see you use this feature in our platform. All right, so on to the agenda itself. So what we'll cover today is we'll start by exploring the key challenges that lifecycle can address for your business. Right. We'll also discuss what happens when you don't use proper lifecycle management and how your business can benefit by using lifecycle within our platform. Right. Next, I'll guide you through setting up life cycles in your workspace so you can get started really quickly and right away. Then we'll share some best practices for using a lifecycle effectively and highlight success stories from two of our customers or organizations who've integrated lifecycle management into their operations within the platform, right? And as a bonus and the highlight of this workshop, we'll walk through setting up a simple workflow that automates tracking your performance using Google Sheets with Respond.io. And by the end of the workshop, you have all the ready-to-use workflow templates and the Google Sheet that we share here to get you started very, very quickly. And finally, by the end of the workshop, we'll wrap up with a simple Q&A session and make sure you have all the questions answered and have access to all the slides and resources after this workshop. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the common challenges without lifecycle. So one big issue that businesses face is losing leads. Right? It's easy to miss opportunities when you're juggling hundreds or even thousands of inquiries per day. So without a clear system, without lifecycle, some messages would go, without a doubt, go unanswered, leading to drop-offs. And worst case scenario, you might lose all these leads to your competitors, right? Another challenge here is that it's difficult to prioritize which leads deserve your time, right? So with Lifecycle, it's easier to focus on the customers that matter most and not waste time on repeating the same task over and over again between agents or without knowing what to prioritize on, who to prioritize as well, right? And finally, many businesses don't fully understand how their sales processes are performing in chats, especially within the platform. So without data, it's hard to pinpoint what's working, what isn't, and where you can improve. Lifecycle exactly gives you that visibility, right? So for example, as a business, you might run multiple ads, especially in a digital age right now, we might run, tens or even hundreds of ads, let's say on Meta, on Google, so on and so forth. So all the leads coming from each of these channels, there might be hundreds, right? And you might not know where they are coming from, right? So having the visibility of where they're coming from and how they tend to perform within the lifecycle pipeline, you can identify what works and what to continue. So let's get on to, so now you know the benefit of lifecycle. Give me a second. Right. So now you know what lifecycle tends to solve. Let's talk about the benefits of lifecycle. All right. So enabling lifecycle can be a game changer for your business, right? It makes managing leads a lot easier, helping you categorize contacts by how likely they are willing to convert, right? And in this case, you can respond faster to higher priority leads, which improves your conversation rates a lot better and ensure you don't lose businesses to competitors, right? Lifecycle can also make working together less messy. For example, you might have multiple teams handling different lifecycle pipelines or different lifecycle stages. And with lifecycle, you know exactly, especially if you're in that specific team, you know exactly what to do with certain customers within certain life cycles. Okay, and then, oh, how come that's empty? Give me a second. Oh, sorry. And most importantly, Lifecycle gives you a clear view of your conversion rates at every single stage, helping you identify bottlenecks and optimize your sales processes by giving you an overview of how your sales processes are performing. Okay, so now you know how Lifecycle, what's the benefit of Lifecycle, right? Let's see how Lifecycle looks like within the platform. Okay, so here you can see Lifecycle and the inbox module, which I'm sure all of you are familiar of. Here you can see when Lifecycle is enabled, right? So keynote here is that Lifecycle is available for all plans. You just have to enable it. So when it's enabled, you can see on the top of this image here, there is a Lifecycle dropdown. Right? From here, you can choose the lifecycle stages for that specific contact. Easy as that, right? So when lifecycle is enabled, on the left side here, you can also see what we call lifecycle default inboxes, right? So this is where you can see all the open conversations within these lifecycle stages whenever they are being put into these life cycles, right? So imagine you have a team focusing on making sure the customer made payments, and that is where you should focus on that specific lifecycle inbox itself. Okay, so now you know how it shows up within inbox module. Let's talk about how to enable it. Right. So here you see my screen, right, of the inbox module itself. You can see that the drop-down is currently not available, and there are also no lifecycle inboxes here, right? So we made it really, really simple to enable lifecycle itself. All you have to do is go to settings, right? Look for the lifecycle module with the new tag here because it's new, and all you have to do is to turn on this toggle. right? So once this is turned on, whatever that I showed just now in inbox module is available. For example, if I go to inbox, you can see that I can select the life cycle of this particular contact, or look at all the life cycle inboxes with open conversations inside. What's extra is that for owners and managers, if you want to manage leads, then you can go to contacts module and exactly see all the contacts that you have in each of these life cycles, right? So that's on the contacts and module side. Let's go back to life cycle. So when you turn it on, it's where you can also configure the stages that are relevant to your business, right? You can add stages as much as you want based on how your business is, requiring these certain life cycles. Okay, then now that you know how to turn it on, let's talk about some best practices when you're setting up a life cycle. Hold on. Okay, so to make the most out of life cycle, first, right, we have 3 points here. First, you have to understand your customer journey, your full customer journey, which I will dive into later on. Second is you have to keep your stages simple and actionable, because simplicity is key. So your team can use them without confusion, including yourself, right? And finally, make sure to define clear entry and exit criteria to each of these lifecycle stages, right? Because you want to measure success, track performance, we have to ensure that all of these stages have a very, very clear criteria of why contacts are entering and exiting the stage. For example, let's say we have a lifecycle stage called payment, where contacts are in the process or have not made payment, right? So as an agent, I would look at contacts within this lifecycle stage, right, and focus on helping them convert. From the analytics side, because I have a very clear entry and exit point, because the exit criteria is if they paid, then they have become a paying customer, right? From a data analytics standpoint, if I see a lot of customers tend to drop off without making a payment, then that is where I can focus my analysis on why they are dropping off, right? So on the first point is to understand your touch points, right? So you can start by just mapping your customer journey, your full customer journey. For example, one of our customers in an education sector, they define their stages like this. First, when they are customers making their first contact with the business, of course, they are new leads, right? So the first conversion goal is to talk to them, is to get these new leads to book a trial. So when they have booked the trial, that's one conversion goal. When they have booked the trial, next they need to remind them to attend the trial. And once that trial has been attended by that customer, that is when the business can focus on converting them into paying customers. So by keeping stages tied to a specific goal, your agents can guide leads towards making the right conversion more effectively. Okay. And the second part is to keep it very simple, right? We recommend 5 to 7 stages to start with. Now, when you enable life cycle for the first time, we do have some default life cycles that you can start with. And this is where you can build your life cycle pipeline on, right? You can take stages away that don't make sense, or create more stages that are relevant to your business so you can iterate and improve as needed, right? And finally is like what I mentioned just now, identify the entry and exit points as clearly as possible, right? So this is when if all those criteria are properly laid out, you can properly calculate conversion rates between stages and identify where customers are dropping off and where they are being converted, right? These insights will really help you optimize your sales process a little better and achieve higher conversion rates, because at the end of the day, we just want to focus on increasing the conversion rate, right? And so let me give you an example. like what I mentioned just now, if you do see for let's take the organization in the education sector as an example, right? When the conversion goal is to, let's say, attend a trial, and you do see a lot of customers tend to drop off by not attending the trial. We can see that in the conversion goal, right? So let's say you have 1,000 customers who sign up for the trial, and only 100 of them attended the trial, right? That means that you have a 90% drop-off rate. As a business, I can look at this 90% drop-off rate and analyze why they're dropping off. Is it because they do not remember, they don't have enough reminders, or they do not know where to go for to attend the trial? Is it an online trial or is it an in-person trial? So on and so forth. There could be many, many reasons, but the first step to tackle a problem is to identify the problem to start with, right? And this is where Lifecycle can help you. So now that we talked about the examples, we talked about the benefits of Lifecycle, let's talk about the examples of two of organizations who use Lifecycle within Respond.io. Right. So one of our customers, beauty clinic, they use Lifecycle to log all the customer data, the customer lifecycle data into a Google Sheet, right? And by analyzing conversion rates between stages, they're able to identify bottlenecks and optimize their ad strategies and to improve overall performance at the end of the day. Now, with this slide itself, you can see at the very bottom of the slide, the table there is a red circle there to indicate that, hey, there's a lot of customers within this life cycle. There might be a bottleneck here, right? And that's where, at the end of the day, the business was able to find the bottleneck and address why a lot of customers are stuck within this life cycle and allocate more resources into that particular life cycle stage itself, right? A second example, this customer is actually from a solar industry, right? They use Lifecycle to categorize and prioritize conversations effectively. Now, this helped them allocate resources efficiently and manage leads effectively when they see that, remember the Lifecycle inbox on the left side, when they see that the number of conversations are increasing, decreasing, or it's just being pulled up in one of the Lifecycle stages. So yeah, now that we've seen some examples, we have seen benefits and challenges that Lifecycle tend to solve. Let's get into the highlight of the workshop itself, which is how to automate lifecycle tracking in Google Sheets with Respond.io. Right, so let me share my screen. Right, so in this workspace, I have lifecycle enabled. Okay, and in terms, and we'll go right into workflows itself because it's all about automation, and workflows is exactly where this can help you on automating the tracking of lifecycle stages, right? Workflow right now is available for growth and above, right? So just something to keep note of. And let's get into this workflow itself. Right. So again, whatever I share from here onwards, the workflow, the Google Sheet, they're all going to be available after the workshop. So don't worry about that if it's something very difficult to set up, right? But just to get through the workshop itself on what to expect in this particular workflow, and again, at the end of maybe I'll talk about the result first, right? So we have two things here again: workflow template and also the Google Sheet, right? And in terms of tracking lifecycle stages performance, at the end of the day, a lot of businesses want to only track two things. First is conversion rate, right? Which is the first point here. Second is your drop-off rate, right? Because conversion rate basically is your performance of your businesses converting customers from non-paying to paying customers. And drop-off rate is basically showing you why and what's the number of customers not converting, right? Not converting to a paying customer, right? So for this particular Google Sheet, I have what we have here is two metrics set up already, right? And for this sheet itself, conversion rate, what you have to do here is to just select the stages that you are interested in. And conversion rate is very simple, right? Is the portion of customer who entered the first stage, and in this case, new lead, and then they end up as a customer, right? Simple as that. And you might have a different configuration of lifecycle, and this Google Sheet can really help you in terms of using your lifecycle to calculate. For example, your lifecycle, your first stage might be online lead, right? And let's say this is online lead, and this sheet is dynamic enough that whatever configuration that you might have, you can choose it from here, right? And for example, your final stage might be paying customer, right? And that's where you can select from here. You can also duplicate these rows as much as possible to find out your conversion rates from between stages, right? So as easy as that. And at the end of the day, all these conversion rates are being automated and available from the Google Sheet itself. Okay, so now you know the number of conversion rate and also drop-off rate. You can also use this sheet, pivot table, to exactly see how your lifecycle journey looks like for your customers. In this case, I have three new leads coming in, and two of them got converted to customer, which in this case is 66.7%, right, conversion rate. And one of them actually ended up as a cold lead, which means that they dropped off. Now, as a business, I will be able to have this visualization to understand how my customers are moving along the pipeline, and at the end of the day, focus on determine where to focus on. For example, you might want to decrease the number of customers going into cold leads as much as possible. Okay, and then on this first sheet is just a lifecycle changes log that I will talk about. That is also being populated by Respond.io itself, especially from the workflow side, right? And that's where we can talk about from workflow side, how do you actually log these data into Google Sheets, especially the first sheet itself. Okay, so for the workflow template that we will provide at the end of this workshop, the first part of the workflow is that this workflow will always trigger, right? This workflow will always trigger whenever there are any lifecycle changes to a contact, right? And to do that is just a simple, you only have to select the lifecycle updated trigger, which means that whenever the lifecycle of a contact changes, it will trigger this workflow. Simple as that, okay? So when you select this trigger, automatically all stages will be considered, right? Which means that whenever the lifecycle changes to hot lead, new lead, so on and so forth, any changes at all, it will trigger this workflow. And by default, in terms of advanced settings, whenever a contact's lifecycle stage is cleared, meaning it's from any stages to empty, it will also trigger this workflow. Okay, so once this workflow is triggered, the next step is to log these data, right? So first of all, we have to make sure that it is pointing to the correct worksheet. And in this case, I have it pointed here. Okay, the second part is to make sure you are pointing to the right sheet itself. And in this case, I have it pointed to lifecycle changes, which is the first sheet. Okay, and then finally, you have to make sure you map the columns properly. So if we go back to the Google Sheet itself, we can see that there are 4 columns: timestamp, contact ID, contact name, and eventually the final lifecycle stage of that particular action itself, right? And in this case, I have the same mapping here. You can see the column names, timestamp, contact ID, contact name, and lifecycle stage. And all you have to do when you import this Google Sheet, all you have to do is to map to the correct variable, right? And in this case, I only have to type the $, and then since this is timestamp, I only have to type time, right? Then you can see that there's a current date and time. Okay. And for the second column, contact ID, all I have to do is $ contact ID. Simple as that. And contact name, so on and so forth. Simple as that. And at the end of so once you check everything is working, make sure you publish and eventually test it out, right? And how you test it out is to change any contact's lifecycle to any other contact, any other lifecycle stage, and see if they appear in the Google Sheet. Now, one thing to note when you import this Google Sheet template into your Google Drive folder is to make sure you delete all the template data that we have in there. In this case, I do not have the template data, but when we make it available for you after the workshop, just make sure the template data is not in there anymore. So yeah, so that's on the automation side on lifecycle performance tracking, right? Also make sure you publish it. I also want to talk about a particular step or a particular capability that we have within Respond.io as well. It's what we call a conversion API, right? So let me go to the workflow itself. So conversion API is very simple. So nowadays, I'm pretty sure a lot of you run meta ads, right? You run meta ads to actually collect leads, and from there, you might pump those leads into Respond.io itself, and eventually converse with them within Respond.io. Right? So when you talk to the customers from all these meta ads, and then you start converting them within Respond.io, before this capability, before we have this send conversion API step within the workflow itself, that's it. Like when you convert, that's it. There's nothing that you can really do. But what this does, and now we have this right now, send conversion API, what it does is that when you convert a customer, you can send that conversion data back into Meta. Okay, so what that means is that when Meta receives these data, that hey, I've converted a customer and this is the value that I've converted, right? You send all these data back to Meta. Meta will get all these data and understand that, okay, this online advertisement was somewhat working for you, and I will pump this data back into me as Meta. I will pump all these data back into the algorithm so that I can find similar customers for you, right? So in this case, when you have this step and send the conversion data back into Meta, Meta can rework on their algorithm a little bit so that they can find better leads for you, and also optimize your lead searching capability better, right?
So yeah, Wilson. Basically, Copy is basically sending data to Facebook, telling Meta to like find more of these customers for me. So yeah, I think this is pretty awesome, and just being able to do this makes you able to better optimize your ads and better use your ad spend. You don't want to waste money on leads that don't convert, right? So if you send more data to Meta, they'll give you more customers. Of course, the data needs to be quality.
Yes, exactly. And in terms how to set it up, here's a very simple example is that, remember I talked about life cycle just now. When do they get converted? So you might have a conversion stage, right? And in this case, the life cycle stage might be paying customer or customer in this case, right? And to set it up, you simply have to make sure that that the workflow triggers the workflow whenever the life cycle of a contact changes into customer, right? In this case, I wouldn't want this workflow to trigger also when the life cycle stage is cleared, right? So this is the most important part, right? And then you only have to pump that data back into Meta itself. Just make sure you capture the payment value somewhere as a custom field. You can also have a shortcut here to actually get the agent to pump the purchase value into Meta as well. It's totally up to you. So at the end of the workshop, we'll also have some documents, some online documents to get you started with Copy as well. Okay, so I think that's about it in terms of the workshop. Yeah, thanks. So in conclusion, right, lifecycle management can really elevate your sales effort by understanding what to prioritize, where to focus, and at the end of the day, understand how it's performing, right? So we hope that Respond.io can be a pivotal tool for you to drive more sales and conversion. And as promised, here are all the links to the workflow templates, Google Sheets, knowledge sources, and also for how to get started with Copy as well. Right. So, do we have any Q&As? When can I see TGE, the life cycle summary report for day to day or weekly conversion? All right. So right now, what we encourage users to do is you can log all these data into Google Sheets, right? I think what you're talking about is some sort of reports like what we have for broadcasts, what we have for conversations, responses, so on and so forth. This one, I can tell you right now, is not available within Respond.io, but it is within our pipeline and roadmap to enable this capability for lifecycle reports in the future. So stay tuned on that. It's like CRM. Is there a Kanban view? No, for this one, no, we don't have a Kanban view right now, because the simplicity, like I mentioned just now, we want to keep it simple first, and to allow you to track customers based on life cycle for this very first stage, right? But thanks for the question. It's also something in our purview that we are considering as well in the future. So unfortunately, a Kanban view is not available right now, but that's also where we want to enable some kind of logging first, so you have the view on your side on Google Sheets as well, and that's where we can get you started really quickly with just this Google Sheet template and also the workflow template as well. Oh yes, of course, it's possible to create multiple life cycles. Do you mean like multiple life cycle pipeline? Because within our platform right now, you can only create one pipeline. So you can imagine from stage 1 to stage 10. But you can use this, you can create even up to 20 life cycle stages. So it's really up to you on how you define life cycle stages within your platform. Yeah, hopefully that. It's really simple. It's really easy to add stages as many as you want, and also take away stages as many as you want. And hopefully that's enough for you to customize it based on your use case, right? Is there any more? Built in and live? Oh yeah, it's available right now. You can directly go to settings. If you have access to our platform, you can directly go to settings and enable it as a toggle in the lifecycle module, right? Just make sure that you have owners and managers access though. Oops. Yeah, maybe I can show you again. Lifecycle here, and then make sure you turn this toggle on. Then it's available within your platform already. Again, it's available to all plans. So so it's all there. Cool. Doesn't it still provide us insight from one to the other? As of now, we don't have a inbuilt analytics insights. Like I mentioned just now, it's something that we are looking directly into right now. And to check the progress of our development for this part of lifecycle, you can also check the Kenny feature request. We have a feature request board on kenny.com, or is it .io? Maybe that's something we can also send you so that you can keep track of our development timeline for this lifecycle analytics insight, because we're very interested on hearing what would you like to track as well. And that's where we can collect your feedbacks on what we should build in the future. Right. So thanks for this question. It will eventually help us build better reports and automate the reports for you as well. So stay tuned. Yeah. All right. Anything else? On previous chats as well.
Sorry, yeah, I think I was muted. Yeah,
Oh, no, it's not.
just shared your link to the chat on the Canny link, and they can access this and check it out as well and give some feedback.
All right, so can the life cycle be applied on previous chats as well that covers, for example, the past 2 months? And if so, it would need to be manually titled? For the first question, can the life cycle be applied on previous chats as well that covers, for example, the past 2 months? So Lifecycle right now, when you enable it, you can change lifecycle of any customers or any context within the platform, right? But I think what you're asking about is something like, for example, if you have it in the Google Sheet tracking, would you be able to what's the word, to log the data and output the analytics from there, right? Even though it's in the last 2 months, and let's say you only apply the life cycle stages right now. So from Google Sheet itself, it is again, it is a log data, right? So if you do it now, it will only track the data from now to to whenever it is. So unfortunately, you won't be able to track the past 2 months data, especially if you only enable lifecycle right now. However, if it's within Google Sheet, I'm sure there's some way that you can determine what those dates are. But unfortunately, if it's a log view and if you only enable it right now, we won't be able to pass that data into Google Sheet for the chats that were there from the previous 2 months, right? So
yeah. So basically, you just have to manually apply the stages to all the previous contacts that you have chatted with. If you're interested to categorize them, if not, you can just move forward with the contacts coming in now and moving forward. All right. Next. It seems like a hassle to integrate in Google Sheet. Yeah. So another question about analytics. Yes.
Yeah.
We are in the process of planning and we want to release the analytics feature for Lifecycle.
Yeah, and to be honest, we do want to release it as fast as possible. And I can say it's already in the plans. And like I mentioned just now, we'll provide the Canny feature link after this workshop as well. So because we would love to hear what would you like to see in terms of lifecycle analytics. So,
all right. Next, can one track and run the customer journey with the Respond.io lifecycle and not have a CRM?
So this is based on your company's requirements, right? At the end of the day, we do hope Respond.io can really help you. But this is something that we don't really have an answer for. So yeah, I can't really tell you that because I don't really know what your business looks like. But at the end of the day, Respond.io is where we can help you in tracking conversations, in tracking life cycle. But I believe a CRM tends to have a different kind of integration points. So it really depends on your requirements at the end of the day for your business. So yeah, I can't really answer this there's no straightforward answer to this one, to be honest. Yeah,
To be honest, if it's just life cycle and your business just relies on chat and nothing else, you just want this information, fine. But if your business requires more information, like or email or like sales calls and everything, a CRM like HubSpot would be much more important, and you can integrate Respond.io to it so that all the data that is in Respond.io can also be seen in your CRM. So if depends on your needs, as Wilson said.
Yes, thanks for that, Tyler.
Can I have a look at the Google Sheet again? Okay.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay.
Let's have a quick look.
Let's give a quick look. All right. So there's 3 sheets. First, it's logging data. It's just a very simple table. Now you can add as many columns as you want, but this can really get you started very quickly in terms of tracking the lifecycle metrics. Because with just these three data, you can first look at the pivot table and see how your sales are progressing, right? And then the third sheet is where you can see conversion rates and also drop-off rates. And again, these are all dynamics. For example, if you have 10, even 20 stages, once all these data are in, the pivot table will exactly take your configuration the same as here as well, as long as you select the right lifecycle stage based on your configuration. So yeah, there's some equations as well that I came up with here, right, to make sure it's dynamic enough for you to use as well.
Yeah. So basically, you guys don't need to change too much. The formulas are all been set. Whatever data is pumped in, make sure just delete the existing data that's here in the lifecycle changes, and whatever data pumps in, it will be just your data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next. It's also another question about. So
we're getting a lot of questions on this one.
So there's a lot of interest in analytics, so that's good.
Yeah. So again, we'll provide the Kenny link later on so that you can track the development of that one. But yes, it is in the plans. Don't worry.
Okay. What next question? Can I integrate all my lead with Respond.io to replace Google Sheets, especially since it offers white labeling? I'm not sure what's all my lead.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. But if it has integration with Respond.io, I'm pretty sure there's something that we can work in workflows. For example, because in our workflows we can also trigger API requests, right? We can trigger HTTP requests as well, so that all these data can pump into any applications that accept HTTP requests or APIs as well, right? So not sure what all my lead is. I gotta be honest with you, but as long as if it has integrations with Zapier, Make.com, or accept HTTP requests, then I'm pretty sure that's possible.
And if you need any assistance, just reach out to our support team and they can guide you as best as they could. It's available 24 hours, 5 days a week. Just reach out to them via WhatsApp. I think Blake here also shared already the link to the WhatsApp link to talk to our support. Next. Robbie, how can I set lifecycle for my current contacts? Can I do group edit and update?
Unfortunately, no. Because when we just launched Lifecycle, we do understand that we do assume that's the thing. We do assume that the sales processes after Lifecycle is released, it's more important, right? So you can still select for all the contacts that you might have, but yes, you might need to manually select for all of them. However, you can use data import, right? Data import to actually update all of them, all the existing contacts that you might have to the new lifecycle stages. Just make sure first lifecycle is on. Second, make sure you have data import capability first. That's all.
If you have any questions on this and you need any help, again, talk to our support and they can guide you through it if you are facing any challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next from Roman, can the permissions for Lifecycle be set on team members so that certain members can only assign customers to specific stages?
Good question. Right now, we launched this Lifecycle feature is a very simple one. Anyone can use it. There's no restriction yet. But yes, we've received this feedback before, and it's also something that we can provide you the feature request so that you can keep up with the development of this part. So yeah, but again, right now it's available. When it's enabled, anyone can change it the same way as anyone has access to the custom field. So, but yeah, totally understand why this feature is something that you might need. So it is definitely something that we track as well in terms of the feedback. So yeah.
All right. Well, stay tuned, Roman. Hopefully we can get this out as well. Yeah. Next, from Janice. At the beginning of the example, in one of the scenarios we usually did, 1, new lead, 2, free trial requested, 3 attended trial for customer. We are using Zoom number 3. And so we have to manually update the lifecycle stage whether they attended the trial session.
This is a very, very good question. And personally, I've used Zoom before, and personally, I've also explored their integrations before. So for this part, thankfully, and it's also a good news, is that our lifecycle also have API integrations with, and also what's the word? It also has inbuilt integrations with Zapier, Make.com, and even consume webhooks, right? So Zoom, I remember correctly, is if a certain person attended a trial, they will be able to send off a webhook somewhere. So it does require some development. It does require some development of automation, right? Especially with Zapier, Make.com, so on and so forth. But if that part is there and is set up properly, again, talk to our support if you need any help.
I think one more thing that we cannot see on screen is what challenge that Janice mentioned, which is sometimes people use different emails and they cannot match them. So they wonder how to track this. Unfortunately, this is a problem everywhere. If they're using different contacts, it's hard to match them together, especially if there's no similarities between the two contacts at all.
So my advice is to when they attend the trial, or when your customers when you collect information from these customers, you have their name, then email and phone number, right? So the good thing about Respond.io is that for contact matching or finding contacts, you can actually use these two things: phone number and email, right? Of course, contact ID is also something that's available, but the customer wouldn't know their contact ID, right? So phone numbers and email. So if the phone number is wrong, you can use the email, and if the email is wrong, you can use the phone number. Just make sure the challenges here is to make sure the automation is there, and as long as you know how to use Zapier, Make.com, then this can definitely, hopefully, help you find the right automation and workflow.
So it's not perfect in the end. Some contacts will just use a different email or phone number, and that cannot be helped. We cannot help you with that. People want to do what they want to do, but as Wilson said, if they have one variable that can be used, email, phone number, then we can automatically help set the lifecycle stages based on that information then.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next, Omar, is there any solution for WhatsApp business chat history before connecting to Respond.io? This question we've been asked a lot of times. Unfortunately, this is a meta problem. Their side, they did not release a API or anything that allows anyone to upload their previous chat histories to the WhatsApp API tool of anything, right, Wilson?
Yeah. Yeah. We also have a feature request on this one. Yeah. So unfortunately, it's more of a technical limitation on this.
Right. Next, Hossam, is it possible to integrate Facebook lead to Respond.io without third party?
Yeah.
Third party meaning, I think, without Zoom, on the Make.com or Zapier, is it?
I think so.
Well, depends on what your integration needs at the moment, because the way we integrate it is to the needs of conversation. So if you require some other things, I think it's much more. I think, Hossam, can you explain a bit more what kind of integration from Facebook lead do you need? Then we can better answer your question. All right.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, there's also a native meta integration. So I'm pretty sure that can help you.
All right. Next, is this a better solution for customer service in terms of after sales, like servicing and touch-ups?
Is this a better solution for customer service in terms of after sales, like servicing / touch-ups? There's a ... there. Is it because there's more questions on this?
No, that's pretty much it.
No worries. Yes. So for example, you might have a category for existing customers, right? And that is where you want servicing, touch-ups, or even retarget them. Okay. So this is exactly why we built this lifecycle feature. Is let's say you need to retarget certain people, even if they are already customers, or like you said, servicing and touch-ups, you always have that lifecycle inbox for existing customers, right? And then you can have a separate team to look at them. You can have a different workflow to manage all these people. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, it just helps with prioritization a lot better and understanding who or where these people are coming from, especially if they are existing customers. And that's where you can service them in a different way, upsell, expand, so on and so forth. So yes, definitely yes. This
Yeah. For example, if you offer multiple plans and you want to service these different people, different groups of people in a different way, just create lifecycle stages that label them as such. Oh, they're in the Pro plan, they're in the Advanced, and they're in the Enterprise plan, or whatever, Pro Max, whatever. If you want to label them, then for the future, your team can know, like, okay, these are people from this group. This is how we should service them. What we should do to upsell them to the next plan. Everything, you can plan it out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that's all to the Q&As. Hopefully everyone found this useful. Before we end, let me just share, here's the QR codes if you want to talk to support. And if you want to get the workflow template and the Google Sheet template, scan the second QR code to get access to it as well. So yeah, hopefully today's session has been helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our support, or maybe Wilson, you want them to link from LinkedIn as well. Oh yeah, Wilson, please share the Canny link here in the chat right now.
Okay. Cool. In the chat, or is there an email that we send out to them later?
We can send it in the email as well.
Okay, cool.
All right. I think that is all. All this will be sent via email. Your slides, the recording will be sent to your email right after this, around 4:30. And you will also receive an email if you want to download the workflow template and the Google Slides again later as well. So check your email for that. All right. If there's no one else with any questions, we hope we answered everything. Oh, wait. Is there one more? Helpful listener feature? We used to. Okay. Thanks, Anusha. Awesome.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Oh, so wait. Syed says, I use O'Malley tool. It will be great to integrate directly with their tool, which is 10x more effective than Google Sheet.
Okay. We'll definitely look into that. Thanks
Yeah, let's note that down. Thanks, Syed. We'll check it out as well. We'll get the product team on it. Okay, cool. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.